A shamed millionaire discovers his wife's hidden beauty, revealing a life-changing transformation. James Hastings had it all: money, power, and a sprawling home that gleamed under the Ohio sun. Yet beneath the surface, a festering shame nagged at him. The curls of laughter from the working-class streets of his childhood had faded into distant echoes. He gripped his steering wheel tightly every time he passed his old neighborhood, as if afraid it might reach out and drag him back to a life he longed to forget. Clara, his devoted wife, stood as a stark reminder of everything he wanted to escape. Simplicity, warmth, a life of real connection. But the sparkle in her eyes dimmed as James became increasingly mired in social circles that bubbled over with wealth but lacked depth. Dinners filled with self-absorbed chatter turned their once vibrant connection into a hollow shell. Clara, ever supportive, watched as James chased numbers and status, silently hoping he would remember the rich bond they once had. Then one cloudy afternoon, a storm brewed, threatening their idyllic existence. The beloved community center from James's past was faced with closure, a space that had nurtured friendships and joy for families like his own. As memories flooded his mind, children laughing, the smell of baked goods wafting through the halls, James felt the roots of his childhood stirring restlessly within him. But he buried those feelings under layers of pride, convinced he could handle this on his own. Clara, however, saw the center as a lifeline and quickly stepped up to defend it. Her voice rang out in the neighborhood meetings, filled with passion and determination. "We cannot let this place go," she declared, rallying their old friends and neighbors, sparking a fire that was infectious. James felt a strange pang in his chest, the kind that ignites hope but also stings with jealousy. Here was Clara, vibrant and alive, while he felt like a ghost in his own life, a city of facades built on the flimsy pillars of his wealth. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying this story, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next chapters. And if you can drop a like, it really helps with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're reading from. I'm always curious about who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. James believed he could save the center with his connections, donations, and influence, he thought, until it all fell apart. Wealth didn't persuade the townsfolk who had already given so much. They needed heart. The glares and whispers from familiar faces stung, leaving him a caricature of a once beloved son of their community, now an outsider grasping for approval among the very people he had abandoned. Staring into Clara's eyes during their most heated argument, he felt the weight of the truth crashing down. "You're chasing accolades instead of what matters. This is about more than just you," she cried, her voice tight with passion. It struck him deeply, bringing tears to his eyes as he braced against the truth of her words. Would he continue down the lonely road paved with vanity, or redefine everything he thought was important? James stared at his reflection in the living room window, splintered by shadows, wondering whether he could reconnect with the values he had long forsaken. With the future of the community center and their marriage hanging by a thread, he knew he had a choice to make. In the face of his crisis, could he finally rise to the occasion, or would he let the quiet strength of Clara slip away? The sleepless night dragged on, each tick of the clock echoing like a hammer in James's mind. He lay awake, wide-eyed and restless, with Clara's words replaying over and over. "This is about more than just you." Those words clung to him, a lifeline he didn't know he needed. The world outside his window began to lighten with the dawn, painting the sky in hues of orange and pink, yet James felt darkness inside. He rose and paced through their elegant home, a space that felt more like a showcase than a sanctuary. The air was stale, filled with unspoken tensions. Would the million-dollar furniture and lavish decor ever fill the void he felt when he looked at Clara? Determined to make a change, he slipped on his old sneakers, dusty relics from his past. He'd almost forgotten their significance. They were the shoes of a different James, one who roamed the familiar streets, laughing with friends and dreaming without limits. Today, he'd reclaim that part of himself. That as he stepped outside, the cool air bit at his skin, but it tasted like possibility. He walked toward the neighborhood he had tried to escape. The streets were alive with the rhythm of everyday life. Children rode their bikes, moms chatted on porches, and the warmth of community enveloped him. Memories washed over him like a wave. The laughter, the love, the simplicity he once cherished. Turning the corner, he approached the community center. It stood as proud as ever, but the closing soon sign hung like a dark cloud. Clara stood outside with a few familiar faces, old friends and neighbors united by purpose. Watching her, the way her hands animated her words, made his heart quicken. She was the soul of this place, and he realized, she was the anchor he'd been drifting away from. "James!" Clara's voice called, and the way her eyes sparkled with surprise filled him with warmth. Her expression quickly shifted to concern. "What are you doing here?" I came to help," he stammered, the words feeling foreign on his tongue. "I want to save this place. Together." Her eyes widened, a flicker of hope igniting just behind the worry. "Are you serious?" "I am," he replied, meeting her gaze with newfound determination. "I was wrong to think I could save it with my money. Needs heart, just like you said. I want to be part of that heart." With a mixture of skepticism and encouragement, she stepped closer. "We need volunteers to organize the fundraiser. Real people who care about this community, not just empty promises." As James wrestled with the weight of Clara's expectations, he felt a swell of resolve. Maybe he could do more than just throw money at a problem. A part of him had always longed to connect, to feel those childhood friendships again. "Count me in. I want to make this right," he promised. His heart racing. A tentative smile crept onto Clara's face. "If you're really in, we can start by hosting a community barbecue this weekend. Just like we used to." As they began planning, a rush of emotion coursed through James. The laughter, the love, the joy, they were all pieces of a puzzle he had almost forgotten. Maybe saving the community center was only the beginning. As the sun sank low, casting a golden glow over them, James glanced at Clara, a surge of hope blooming between them. For the first time in a long while, he felt the possibility of change hang in the air. But beneath that hope, doubt lingered. Could he truly find redemption? And what would it take to win back Clara's heart fully this time? As they navigated their way forward, the stakes would only get higher. The true test was yet to come, and uncertainty clung heavily in the atmosphere, waiting for James to confront the past he had tried so hard to escape. The day of the barbecue dawned bright and warm, with blue skies stretching endlessly above. James could hear the excited chatter of neighbors setting up tables and stringing colorful banners. The sweet smell of burgers sizzling on the grill wafted through the air, igniting memories of carefree summers spent laughing with friends. Clara buzzed around the center, her laughter echoing as she rallied volunteers and organized activities. She moved with a passion that lit up the space, and James couldn't help but admire her energy. It was infectious. In those moments he felt a rekindling of something deep within him, something he had thought lost. They had spent the week preparing together. Each late-night brainstorming session had brought them closer, exposing the layer of vulnerability beneath Clara's strong exterior. He shared memories from his childhood, pieces of his life that hadn't fit into the polished image he had created as an adult. She listened intently, her eyes shining with understanding. But still, doubt gnawed at him. What if he fell back into old patterns? What if he wasn't enough? As he watched her now, working tirelessly to bring their neighbors together, those fears lingered in the back of his mind. "James!" Clara called out, her voice slicing through his thoughts. "Can you help me with these chairs?" He pulled himself from the haze and rushed over. He grasped their rustic wooden backs, feeling the warmth of the sun on his skin as he moved them into place. "You really think this will work?" he asked, a note of uncertainty creeping in. Her gaze locked onto his, steady and unwavering. "I know it will. This community just needs to feel that love again. You're part of that heart now, James. You can do this." Her words wrapped around him like a warm embrace, but fear clawed at his insides. He glanced at the grill, where laughter mingled with the sizzle of meat. "What if they see me for who I really am? What if they don't like what they find?" Clara softened, taking a step closer. "No one here wants you to be perfect. They just want you to be real. That's what matters most." With a shuddering breath, James nodded. He was tired of hiding behind the walls he had built. He wanted that connection he had yearned for as a child. He wanted Clara. As they finished setting up, neighbors began to trickle in, their faces lighting up with smiles as they greeted one another. Old friends embraced, children raced around playing tag, and the air filled with music and laughter. It was the heart of what James had missed for so long, a community united. He found himself laughing alongside them, sharing stories and embracing the warmth around him. Clara was in her element, moving gracefully through the crowd, her laughter infectious. He felt drawn to her, but there was something else. A little boy in the back of his mind was looking at her with admiration, a reverence he hadn't allowed himself. As the sun started to lower, painting everything in warm hues, James caught Clara's eye from across the crowd. She smiled and his heart swelled. In that moment he saw her not just as his partner, but as the embodiment of everything he had forgotten he loved. But just as he began to feel more comfortable in this new role, a voice sliced through the joy. "Why are you even here, James? You don't belong in this place. You think you can just waltz back into our lives?" One of his old acquaintances stood at the edge of the gathering, suspicion thick in the air. The laughter faded, replaced by whispers of uncertainty. James's heartbeat quickened, threatening to drown out the gathering's buzz. Could he truly be accepted back in this world? Would he end up disappointing Clara yet again? The shadows of his past loomed, and for the first time, he felt the weight of his choices pressing down on him. What if that's true? He thought as the laughter faded, leaving confusion in its wake. James knew now that the true test was just beginning. In the midst of community joy, doubt once again slithered in, and he had to confront the chasm that still separated him from the man he wanted to be. He took a step forward, ready to face the music. But in his gut, he wondered if he would break under the weight of it all. James felt a chill wash over him as the familiar voice broke the peace of the gathering. The crowd's laughter faded into an awkward silence. He turned to see Mark, an old friend from a life he thought he had left behind, arms crossed and an incredulous expression on his face. "What are you doing here?" Mark's voice dripped with disdain. "Didn't you move away because you didn't fit in?" The laughter that had filled the air just moments ago was replaced by a tense stillness, eyes darting nervously between James and Mark. Clara, sensing the shift, moved closer to James. He could feel her warmth beside him, a silent anchor amidst his spiraling thoughts. "James belongs here," Clara said, her voice steady. "He's part of this community. That's what today is about, bringing people together." Her defense resonated, but Mark merely scoffed. "Bringing people together? Is that what you call it? Because it looks like we're just paving the way for old mistakes to come back. Aren't you afraid of what he might drag back with him?" A wave of embarrassment surged through James. He had hoped for acceptance, for a chance to leave the shadows behind. And now, standing there, the ghosts of his past whispered accusations in his ear, drowning out Clara's warm words. He could feel the eyes of the crowd on him, some in support, but many holding judgment. He cleared his throat, the words caught in his chest like stones. Would they see him as he truly was, beneath the failures and disappointments? Or would he once again be judged by his past? "James, you're not those mistakes," Clara urged, her eyes piercing through the doubt. "You're more than what people think, and you can show it. Today is your chance." The sharpness of Mark's gaze bored into him, as if probing for a weakness. "Why should we let you back in? What makes you think you deserve a seat at this table?" The words hung heavy in the air, threatening to suffocate him. James took a breath, desperation and urgency filling him. He could either retreat into the person he used to be or stand firm and redefine himself. "I know I've made mistakes," he said, his voice wavering yet loud enough for everyone to hear. "But I'm trying to be better, for myself and for this community. We've all got a past, but that doesn't mean we can't change." A stir of murmurs rippled through the crowd, a mix of doubt and curiosity. Clara squeezed his hand, letting him know she was with him. This was as much about her faith in him as it was about his own willingness to fight for a place. Mark rolled his eyes, unimpressed. "Talk is cheap, James. Can you walk the walk?" James felt the fire rising within him. He leaned slightly forward, echoing the confidence Clara had always seen in him. "I can be better, and I want to be a part of this. I know it won't happen overnight, but I'll prove myself. Not just because you think I need to, but for Clara, for this community." As he spoke, a few figures in the crowd nodded, murmurs of agreement drifting through the air like a hopeful breeze. After years of silence, it felt good to reclaim his voice, no matter how shaky it might be. But just as he thought he began to sway the tide, Clara's smile faded slightly, her brow furrowing. James, you don't have to prove anything to them. You've already shown up. That's what matters most. Yet deep inside he knew it wasn't entirely true. To truly be part of this community again, he had to confront his past and lay those fears to rest. Could he withstand the pressure? Could he transform in a way that would make him proud as well as Clara? With that thought he caught Clara's gaze, and for a fleeting moment, it felt like the weight of the world hadn't crushed him just yet. But then, a shout pierced the tension, drawing everyone's attention to another area of the yard. Before he could grasp what was happening, a child had fallen in a game, tears streaming down her face. The collective gasp of the crowd snapped him back to the moment. What would he do? Would he step up to help? Or let fear keep him rooted? As he hesitated, he realized that perhaps today wasn't just about his transformation. It might also be a chance to support something greater than himself. Feeling Clara's encouraging squeeze, James took a breath, ready to put both feet forward. And just as he was about to make that leap, he wondered, could this be a moment of redemption or merely a stepping stone along the rocky path ahead? James's heart raced as he turned to face the scene unfolding before him. The little girl, no more than 6, lay sprawled on the grass, her face smeared with dirt and tears as she cried out for her mother. The laughter that had once filled the air had dissipated, replaced by the raw sound of her sorrow. In that moment, everything inside of him sparked with urgency. James, go! Clara whispered urgently, nudging him gently. Her encouragement flickered like a candle in the dark as he stepped closer. He could feel the crowd's eyes boring into him, and the weight of their scrutiny was almost unbearable. But as he knelt down beside the girl, all that pressure faded into the background. Hey there, he said softly, reaching out to touch her shoulder. What happened? She looked up at him, her big tear-filled eyes reflecting confusion and pain. I fell and now I can't find my mom. A pang of empathy struck James, and without thinking, he took her small, trembling hand in his. It's okay. We'll find her together, all right? He held her hand tight, feeling the warmth and fragility of her tiny fingers. It hit him then how important it was to show up, not just for himself, but for others who needed help. Over there, the girl cried, pointing toward a cluster of adults nearby who were clearly starting to panic. The moment of connection ignited something within him. What had felt like fragile hope moments ago now felt like a steady flame that he turned back to the crowd, which seemed to collectively hold its breath, and said with strong conviction, let us help her find her mom. The stunned silence shattered, replaced with a flurry of movement. Some adults began to hurry toward the group the girl had pointed to, while others focused their attention on James. They had witnessed him falter in the past. Now they were seeing him rise. Clara smiled, her eyes shining with pride as she followed him into action. James could feel the fear and doubt that had once gripped him slipping away with each step he took. This moment was not about his past or Mark's judgment. This was about being present, about pushing through the noise of uncertainty to help someone in need. The girl led them through scattered games, bumping into laughter and cheers as other children played obliviously. Each step reinforced his resolve. James glanced back at Clara, whose unwavering support fortified him. She believed in him, and that made it easier to believe in himself. Finally they reached the group of adults. The girl's mother, a woman with worry etched across her face, rushed forward when she spotted her daughter. Oh my goodness! Where were you? She exclaimed, pulling her daughter into a tight embrace. Mom! The girl cried, her voice muffled as she buried her face in her mother's neck. As the reunion unfolded, James felt a warmth spread through him. It was a heartwarming sight that filled a space he didn't even know was empty. He had stepped up when it mattered, and in doing so he had taken a step toward reclaiming his place in the world. But where did that leave him now? Could he maintain this momentum? Or was it just a fleeting moment of clarity amidst an uncertain path? He turned back to the joyous reunion, and a new question arose within him. What if this was not just about finding his way back to this community, but about discovering who he truly was in the process? As that thought lingered, he realized that the gathering had shifted. People were watching him differently now. Respect? Acceptance? Could they see the change he was desperately trying to forge? And with that uncertainty floating in the air, another shout broke through this time. It was a call for assistance, and it echoed from a different side of the yard. What would happen next? Would he rise to the occasion again? Or would the shadows of his past draw him back? James's pulse quickened again as he turned toward the source of the new call. A group of children had encircled what appeared to be a boy lying on the ground, his ankle twisted at an awkward angle. The sight jolted James back into reality. "Clara," he said, urgency creeping into his voice. "We need to help." Without waiting for a response, he sprinted toward the commotion, adrenaline surging through him. The children clutched each other, their faces a mix of concern and fear. For once he didn't care about his past or what anyone might think. He could feel Clara beside him, matching his pace, her determination radiating like a beacon as they reached the barrier of onlookers. A young girl looked up at him with wide eyes. "He fell off the swing," she explained. "He can't get up." James knelt down beside the boy, who winced as he attempted to sit up. "Hey there, you're going to be okay," he said, trying to sound confident, even as he felt his own heart racing. Still holding on to that small ember of courage from before, he placed a hand gently on the boy's shoulder. "What's your name?" "Eli," he replied between gritted teeth. The pain in his voice was palpable, and James squeezed his shoulder reassuringly. "Eli, I want you to do something for me," James continued. "I need you to breathe in deep and try to relax. You're safe now." The boy nodded, his brows furrowing. As James's calming words poured over him, he caught Clara's eye. She nodded, as if to say they were on the right path. She had stayed behind him, her face a blend of support and resolve, ready for whatever came next. James focused back on Eli. "Can you wiggle your toes for me?" Eli hesitated, then slowly moved his foot. "It hurts," he said. "That's all right," James said. "Let us get you some help. We'll call an adult to assist, okay? You're not alone." As James looked around for an adult, a buzz of excitement rippled through the crowd. Someone had called for the nurse, who was stationed at the event. Relief washed over him, but it was short-lived when he turned back to see Eli's pale face, tears pooling in his eyes. "What if I can't walk again?" Eli's voice trembled as he spoke, the weight of his worry beating heavy like a drum. James recognized that fear. It echoed his own doubts. "You will walk again, I promise. You're stronger than you think. It's okay to be scared, but we'll face it together." In that moment, James realized just how interconnected their struggles were. Eli's fear mirrored the uncertainty he felt about his own ability to change, to be accepted, to take on the challenges ahead. The air crackled with a shared bravery as both boy and man confronted their fears, Eli with half-formed vows of recovery, James with a heart ready to embrace change. The nurse arrived just as the tension peaked. She knelt beside them, expertly assessing Eli's injury while speaking in soothing tones. James felt a swell of gratitude for the help and support surrounding them as they lifted Eli gently onto a stretcher. James stood back, a bittersweet pride filling him. He had stepped out not only for someone else but also for himself, transforming a fleeting moment of bravery into a spark of resilience. But still, as the crowd murmured approvingly, James felt a new uncertainty rise up. What lay ahead now? Had he truly started a journey into something deeper than mere action? He glanced back at Clara, who smiled encouragingly, but behind her eyes, he saw the same questions echoing in her heart. Then, before he could think it through, another voice rang out. "Wait! We need help with the games too." A rush of anticipation surged within him. Could this be another chance to change, to step up again? Would he embrace the chaos? Or would he falter under pressure? James took a deep breath, the sound of the new call pulling him from his thoughts. The excitement in the crowd felt like electric energy, and it fluttered in his chest. The sound of children laughing, the thump of balls hitting the ground, it was a call to action he couldn't ignore. With Eli stable for now, something pulled at him, pushing him forward. "Let us go," he said with newfound determination as he turned to Clara. The moment hung between them, filled with possibility and shared purpose. Clara's presence steadied him. It felt like they were now in this together, partners in whatever lay ahead. As they sprinted toward the game area, he saw cluster after cluster of kids waiting for their turn. It was a chaotic yet vibrant scene. Laughter mingled with shouts of encouragement. James's heart swelled with hope. This was a chance for him to stand up, to take that spark of bravery and let it catch fire. "What can we do?" Clara asked, scanning the scene. "Looks like they need volunteers to help keep score or manage the stations," James replied. pointing toward a frenzied group organizing the games. Let us ask. They waded through the crowd, but as they approached, a boy, his face scrunched in concentration, called out, "We need someone to help with the relay race. Team B needs a runner." Before he could think twice, James felt his feet move forward. Was this the moment? Could he really do it? Memories of his childhood rushes danced through his mind, the thrill of racing across the pavement, the camaraderie of teammates. An utter fear of failure tugged at him, but equally a yearning for joy pulled him closer to the start line. "Are you coming?" Clara urged, her eyes sparkling. "This is your chance." "Yeah," he shouted back as he stepped forward, heart pounding in a new rhythm of excitement. The other kids cheered as he took his place in the runner's line. "What's your name?" one of the organizers asked. "James," he replied, feeling more alive than he had in ages. "Awesome. Okay, on your mark, ready, go." With a burst of energy, he launched down the track, legs propelling him forward. Wind whipped through his hair. Adrenaline surged as cheers echoed behind him. For that fleeting moment, he was no longer just James, he was a part of something bigger, something undeniably good. As he crossed the finish line, the applause rang in his ears. It sounded loud and real, filling his chest with a warmth he hadn't felt in so long. Clara ran to him, enveloping him in a celebratory hug. "You did it. I can't believe I did that," he said, panting but grinning from ear to ear. "See, you're braver than you think. You deserve to enjoy these moments," she exclaimed, her joy infectious. But as the excitement settled, a gnawing doubt crept back in. What did this mean for him? Could he actually keep this up? Questions flooded his mind, threatening to dull the high he felt. Before he could dwell too long, a little girl with pigtails approached, her eyes sparkling. "That was amazing. Do you want to be on our team for the next game?" Her simple request struck a chord deep within him. Could he embrace this new role? Not just as a helper but as part of a community? James looked at Clara, who nodded encouragingly, her smile reassuring. The thought flared in his mind. Perhaps this was a chance to be more than just a bystander in life. With a smile on his face, he answered, "Yes, I'd love to." But as they moved toward the next game, he couldn't shake the thought. What if stepping up led him down a path he wasn't ready for? Would he truly be able to embrace the change, or would he stumble again under the weight of expectations? James adjusted his cap and took a deep breath, shaking off the lingering doubts. The energy from the crowd felt intoxicating, and the little girl with pigtails beamed up at him, waiting expectantly for his response. He was ready to take this leap. "All right, what's your name?" he asked her, trying to match her enthusiasm. "Lily," she chirped, her locks bouncing as she danced from foot to foot. "Lily, great to meet you. Let us show them what we've got." James grinned, feeling the weight lift a little more as they approached the grassy field for the next game. He scanned the area. It was chaos, but it was the kind of chaos filled with laughter and joyful shouts. Parents cheered from the sidelines while kids darted from one place to another, like fireflies in a summer night. It filled him with a warmth he didn't even know he was missing. Clara fell in step beside him, her supportive presence working its magic. "See, you're doing it, James. Just embrace the moment," she urged softly. "Yeah, I guess I am." He felt the twinge of anxiety simmering in the background, but Clara's unwavering confidence doused the flames. The relay race was set up in a circular formation, and James felt somewhere between nervous and excited as the other team members greeted him. They were an eclectic mix, eager to collaborate. The organizer explained the rules, and soon they were slapping hands and strategizing for their run. "Who's going first?" James asked, looking around. "I'll go," a boy named Max shouted, his enthusiasm contagious. The rest of the team followed suit, and soon enough it was time for James to take his turn. His pulse quickened as he stepped up to the starting line, the exhilaration mixing with that old fear of being judged washing over him. "Ready, set." The countdown echoed in his head as the signal sounded. He took off like a shot, wind ripping past him once again. He could almost feel the encouragement of each teammate propelling him forward. The world blurred around him, each step felt freeing. With every stride, he pushed those self-doubts further into the background. Just as he reached the handoff point, Max was in view, arms outstretched. Just like that, everything felt miraculous again. He couldn't help but laugh as he handed off the baton, feeling the connection to the team swell in his chest like a warm glow. When the race ended, they may not have come in first, but that didn't matter. High fives and cheers celebrated every effort made along the way. Laughter rang out as they collapsed into a huddle, sweaty and exhilarated. "James, you were awesome," Clara exclaimed, rushing over to join them. "Thanks. I couldn't have done it without you guys," he replied, giving a sheepish smile. Their camaraderie was balm to his soul as the victorious vibe carried over the grassy field. Another girl approached him, her eyes wide with admiration. "You should be our new coach. You're so fast," she said. The innocent suggestion stirred something deep inside him, a curious spark of ambition. Could he really be that person? Just for a moment he let himself envision it, a fantasy of leading a team, of becoming someone the kids could look up to. But with that dream came a wave of uncertainty. Did he truly have what it took? Would he fade back into the shadows once the cheers quieted? Suddenly, the sound of shouts cut through his contemplation. An emergency broke out at the edge of the field. A child had fallen, and panic surged through the crowd. Without thinking, instinct kicked in. James moved toward the commotion, ready to face whatever lay ahead. What did it mean to be brave? The question swirled like a storm in his mind, but one thing was clear: he couldn't turn away this time. Not now. As he helped unravel the scene, uncertainty mingled with raw inspiration. In this moment he was faced with a new challenge that could change everything. Would he rise to meet it, or would fear hold him back again? James pushed through the small crowd, each heartbeat syncing with the rising chaos. As he approached the fallen child, a wave of anxiety gripped him. He knew he had to act. The child lay sprawled on the grass, tears streaking her cheeks, her bicycle nearby, its wheel still spinning lazily. "Hey sweetie, can you tell me your name?" He knelt beside the little girl, keeping his voice calm and friendly. "Sophie," she whimpered, clutching her arm. Her eyes were wide with fear, and seeing that vulnerability struck a chord deep inside him. "Okay, Sophie, let us take a look at that arm." He gently took her hand, feeling the warmth of her small fingers. Despite his racing heart, he forced a smile. "You're brave, just like a hero." Parents and volunteers flooded around them, some reaching out for assistance, others simply trying to calm their own children nearby. James felt the comforting presence of Clara behind him, her steady hand on his shoulder. "Let us lift her gently," Clara suggested, her voice steady, as she squatted down beside them. With careful movements they brought Sophie to a sitting position, ensuring she was as comfortable as possible. James held her other hand as Clara examined her arm. "It hurts," she murmured, biting her lip, and James watched her face cloud with anxiety. "I know it does. But you're the bravest kid here. Can you take a deep breath for me?" He breathed in exaggeratedly, hoping she would follow. And she did. Slowly, her little shoulders dropped, tension easing like a small balloon deflating. Just then, a parent emerged from the crowd, Sophie's mother, her face pale and frantic. "Sophie!" she cried, rushing to kneel beside her daughter. The relief in her eyes was palpable. "Oh, thank goodness you're okay." Her mother wrapped her arms around Sophie, and James felt a wave of warmth as the little girl's fear began to dissipate. "Your daughter is strong. She just took a little tumble and needs a bit of rest," he reassured her mom. "Thank you. Thank you so much." The mother squeezed his hands, gratitude pooling in her eyes. James straightened up, feeling lighter somehow. He had acted, not hesitated. The rush of adrenaline faded. Replaced by clarity, he was capable of so much more than he had realized. As the crowd began to disperse, he felt an embrace from Clara that momentarily pulled him back from his thoughts. "You were amazing back there," she whispered, her eyes shining. "You were a hero." It struck him then perhaps this was the moment he had been waiting for. Maybe he could be a coach. Maybe he could inspire these kids. "Do you really think I could coach?" he asked without thinking, the words slipping out before doubt could catch up. "Of course. You showed today that you have what it takes," Clara beamed at him. "You just have to believe it." For the first time, James considered that maybe he could embrace this spark within him. With each passing second, the thought gained momentum. And so did the idea of engaging the community, being part of something wonderful. He turned away from the field, looking at the other children playing and laughing together. Maybe tomorrow was the day he would take a step forward. But just then, A commotion caught his attention again. A different child had climbed a tree and was now stuck in the branches, looking panicked. James felt his pulse quicken again. "Let us see if we can help him," he said without hesitation, determination flooding his veins again. No backing down now. As he started toward the tree, the question hung in the air. Would his courage hold when it truly mattered? James pushed through the crowd with determination burning in his chest. Every step brought him closer to the tree where chaos unfolded. A child stuck high among the branches, emotion apparent in his frightened voice. "I can't get down," the boy cried, anxiety twisting his features. The sight tugged at James's heart. He could feel the warmth from a summer sun casting down, yet it felt like a storm brewing inside him. "We'll help you," James interjected, lifting his gaze to where the boy clung. He could see the fear flashing in the child's eyes, and immediately memories of his own childhood flooded back, the carefree days of climbing trees without a care, only to fall back into the loving arms of friends or family. "Can you slide down a little?" James shouted encouragingly. "We'll catch you." The boy hesitated, glancing at the distance below. James noticed parents gathering, their worried expressions mirrored in the child's face. Clara stepped up next to him, her support grounding him. "Just listen to him," Clara called out with confidence. "You're doing great. We'll make sure you're safe." The boy sought reassurance through the crowd, his eyes searching for support. In that instant, James felt the weight of responsibility settle on his shoulders. This was more than simply saving a child. It was about being part of a community, about showing both the boy and those watching what it meant to step up. How could he let fear dictate his actions when there was strength and courage at his fingertips? With a deep breath, James took a step back and shouted, "On the count of 3, jump. We'll catch you, I promise. 1, 2, 3. The boy lunged and James, along with several others, stretched their arms wide to catch him. Laughter erupted as they pulled the boy close, enveloping him in a wave of cheers and claps. Relief washed over James like a soothing rain, transforming the anxiety in his gut into pure elation. "That was awesome," the boy exclaimed between giggles, his earlier fear now forgotten. He bounced on his feet, looking up at James with newfound admiration. James smiled, a glimmer of happiness returning to his heart. "You were so brave." As the crowd erupted in applause, warmth flooded through him. Clara squeezed his hand tight, her smile radiating pride. In that moment, standing amidst a community that felt more like home than he had ever imagined, James knew he was transforming by leaps and bounds. As the festivities continued, James found renewed energy and purpose. He laughed with the kids and listened to their stories with genuine interest. As the day wound down, a group of parents approached him, their excitement palpable. "James, we've seen such a change in you. Would you consider helping to organize more community activities? We want to bring everyone together." Emotion welled in him. For so long he had been haunted by his past, but now he saw a way forward. "Absolutely," he replied, no hesitation in his voice. "Let us make this community stronger." Clara beamed at him, her heart shining in her eyes. Together they would be catalysts of change, blending his resources with her passion. As the sun dipped below the horizon, painting the sky in vibrant hues of orange and pink, James glanced around. Children laughed with friends and families hugged one another tightly, hearts bursting with connection. He turned toward Clara, who stood beside him, her posture relaxed, confident and ready for whatever came next. "We did it, didn't we? This feels right." She nodded, drawing closer. "You found your place, James. And we're just getting started." In that moment he realized that true wealth wasn't meant to be hidden away. It was meant to be shared. "I'm ready," he said, a smile breaking across his face. "For the community, for us. To create something beautiful." As they embraced, the path forward opened up wide, stretching ahead, promising an incredible journey ahead filled with love, laughter, and transformation. So, dear friends, the story doesn't just end here. You need to subscribe now to join James and Clara on their exciting new adventure. Leave a like for the transformation, let it fuel the algorithm. Comment below your feelings about this heartwarming conclusion, and share this with at least 5 friends who need to feel the power of community and redemption. Don't wait not even one more second to support the channel. This is the moment to show how much these stories mean to you.